Good? Oh, I heard it. I
Yeah,
heard it. I
should
heard
be
it.
good.
What's up, everybody? What's up, everyone? Welcome to the special edition Boxing Day Amigo Lazo reunion, whatever you want to call it. We're doing a special video, a little preview of Boxing Day. I'm your commish, Edie Chapo. On the line here with me, I have McNutt, manager, gaffer of Le Coqs. Did I pronounce that right? You want to correct me if I said that wrong?
Uh, you know what? That was perfect.
Awesome.
The Cook, yeah, absolutely happy to be here. It's a real pleasure.
Oh,
Great
of
to be
course.
back with
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. I couldn't be happier. So we have some stuff we want to talk about here. Of course, it's been a crazy year, and Boxing Day, it's day after Christmas. Hopefully, you enjoyed some family time. You got some nice gifts, maybe a new jersey that you're wearing for the game, and I can't wait. And as commissioner of such a great league with such great gaffers, such great enthusiasm, it's going to be a crazy day for sure. So, McNutt, what are we going to discuss today here? We got a few topics.
you. Yeah. I mean, we're going to be hoping to cover an assortment of things, really. So, of course, we're going to be talking about the matchups for this week coming up here. We're going to go some of the different themes. We're going to talk about some of the different themes we've noticed throughout the season
Of
at
course.
this point so far. We'll
Of
talk
course.
about some of the bigger trades and acquisitions that some of the managers have made. And
We've had
what
some.
has covered. We certainly have. Yeah, you've been a part of it as
Oh,
well.
we'll talk about it for sure.
Yeah,
I can't.
we'll talk about it. Yeah, and we'll touch on dark horses, some of the controversies, potential rule changes for the second half of the season with
Oh, look at that.
not the fantasy league, but the Prem in general, and then
Right.
flops, and of course the major cops as well. So it's going to be good.
Can't wait. Awesome. Well, right now, let's current table. Let's take a look right now. Right, we have North Buffalo Football Club with Gaffer Josh Bergio just putting up a tremendous season right now, leading the league. Sorry, 30 points, up by 3 points. It's a close race. I don't know how long he can stay up there. McNutt. It's he's playing Six Kingdoms this weekend, who could be a potential upset.
It could. Josh, he's a great guy. He's been involved locally in the game as well as internationally. He's been doing a lot of research abroad. I've noticed from his Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got some real match winners in his squad. I mean, notably, Son Heung-min, who completed his, military service for the proud nation
What can't
of
he
South
do?
Korea. What can't he do? This guy's unstoppable. And also, Joao Cancelo has been great recently, and Harry Maguire, though I'm not a fan personally, he is putting up some decent points as a center.
He is. Yeah, and right behind Josh there, we have a three-way tie for second. Angelito Corchi, Little Taco, Stretford Rhodes, all 27 points together. And then right there in the middle, we have Team Dr. Marks 12, who, he lurks and he has a good team. So he's being on that top five, as one of the managers put it. It's a nice storyline at the top, and especially at the bottom here. What do we got going on at the bottom here? Seriously.
I mean, just look at this. It is a hodgepodge, a cornucopia, just a clusterfuck of squads down here. With Six Kingdoms, Samba Boys, the commission himself, King Odin, Prince Foden, don't get it mixed up, Team Scotty, and then Le Coq, of course, rounding it out at the bottom there. Bottom of the barrel.
It's wide open.
It's freaking wide open, dude. At least, and this is sort of also kind of like a reflection of the Premier League right now, too, because, you've got a couple guys, leading the charge at your top 4 or 5 teams, of course, but a lot of teams are very close within the top 6, European spots. So I'm glad that our fantasy league is sort of a reflection of the real league itself this year in this crazy time.
That is a good point. You love to see that. You love to see the correlation between the leagues, which both have outstanding managers running their clubs. So it just goes to show. If you were to say, though,
our managers are better, though, wouldn't you say? Some would argue,
I would say so.
Yeah, especially the Arsenal fans in the club here. So Matt
I
Murray, I think that you would probably argue there's better
I
managers.
would think
Maybe you know maybe I'm making
something.
a sweeping assumption, but just saying.
No, not at all. I think you might be right. And speaking of, being good managers, which manager would you say right now has their team with the most momentum going into Boxing Day and just finishing out the year?
Yeah, honestly, dude. I mean, you look at the points total for each of these teams, and some guys are kind of hovering around that 1,500 mark. Some are well below it, myself included.
Right.
But there's one
Right.
guy that just kind of is looking up, looking down at all of us in terms of total, and that's Angelito. I mean, sitting at 1,800 points total this year, he has to be the guy with the momentum, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it's he's one of those teams where he could start six guys and still pull the dub out. So it's he's definitely going to be a contender all year. I'm not sure exactly how he lost. I would have to check back. But he does have the same amount of losses as those other teams. But I think what stands out is the dominance. Like he puts up a lot of points, he crushes teams. So definitely, whenever he's playing, it's definitely something to watch, especially with Ben Chilwell. That was a great pickup. Took
Was.
over for Marcos Alonso and just hasn't looked back. It's been terrible for me because I drafted Marcos Alonso, but it's all right.
Hey man,
It
you can't.
happens.
Yeah,
It happens.
exactly, dude. Hindsight is 2020. Here we are
Of
halfway through
course.
the year. If we look back, we'd all make maybe one or two decisions
Of
slightly
course.
different.
Of course. But yeah, I agree. I agree. Angelito Corchi is definitely heating up. But for me personally,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
gotta
Let's hear
go with the team here that has a 3-win streak. King Odin Prince Foden. I
Wow,
think he's got
major
some
show.
momentum. I think he's got momentum here with some good pickups, and I think this team could sneak in and cause some trouble. Not to Samba
Yeah,
Boys personally, because I think I've beat him a couple. Maybe it's even. Yeah, last matchup I had a convincing victory. So we'll go from recent stat. But yeah, I think he's got a decent team. Phil Foden's in there. He still has Aguero who's coming back, and
yeah,
we'll see what happens there. Right, if Aguero does take over again for Jesus, who hasn't been that good, he scored in the cup. So hopefully, now he's sensing that fire. Maybe start turning up. But well, look out for this team. A lot of City guys, but what do you expect?
yeah. I mean, to your point, really Sergio Aguero is sort of like a sleeping giant that he has, just kind of lurking in the
Mhm.
shadows on the bench there in the IR slot, which he's back. So I think we're going to be seeing a lot of Sergio in 2021. He'll probably take that spot of maybe Kellen Wilson deciding how he wants to play this lineup here. Maybe he takes out one of those midfielders, notably the
Mhm.
Celtics picked up an injury, I think, last week. And obviously, some of these other guys aren't necessarily getting regular playing time. But like you said, there's definitely some players within here that
Mhm.
especially also, Bobby Firmino, who's finally
Of
starting
course.
to refine his touch. And you've seen that probably on a national level too. You've been keeping tabs, I'm sure.
It's definitely a guy that's on my radar always, especially with how bright he shines. He's always going to be on my radar. So
I was just
yeah,
gonna say, man, you can't miss him with those teeth, man. Good
can't
for him.
miss him. Can't miss that. But yeah, he's got solid depth right there at forward. So we'll see. And this personally, this year he drafted his team this year, unlike last year. So the bar's a little higher. So
It is
I'm
hard.
setting it up there for you, King Odin, Prince Foden.
Yeah. He likes to
Good.
make excuses, so I'm glad that this time around, one of his excuses at least is out the window. He can't.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
well,
Well,
let's jump into the
yep.
matchup. Okay, so
Let's do
let's
it.
talk about them.
That-
Wow. I mean,
We got some good ones. I'm looking at it right here. We have do we have any okay, Angelito Corchi, team Dr. Marks. That's a good battle there. Mid-tier battle. And then
Yeah.
also for the bottom tier with King Odin, we just talking about him versus your team. I mean, let's let you talk about this matchup. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I appreciate the opportunity for sure. So, I mean, I've had a couple unfortunate, match weeks in a row here with some red cards involved, one too many Arsenal players involved, which, sure, I impose that issue on myself, so I really can't
That
blame
hurts.
anyone but myself. But, if I were to go into the matchup preview here right on fantrax.com, which we are sponsored by, so thank you guys.
Thank you,
Um,
Fantrax.
but the matchup preview has an absolute blowout predicted here 104 for Lecoq to 46 to King Odin.
Love it.
So,
Love it.
I mean, well, and reason behind it, it looks like King Odin's got a couple of injuries, so he's going to have to sort that out.
Right.
But yeah, so yeah, and I think I benefit from one of those injuries in particular with Lo Celso being out for King Odin.
Right.
Togi and Dombele, they've been kind of vying for the same position throughout the season.
Mhm.
And also, with a guy like, Sadio Mane and Nicolas Pepe is finally getting starts as well. And he
Mhm.
got the goal for the pen for Arsenal last weekend. I'm hoping that I can finally start picking up some momentum here. I'm sure
Yeah.
Odin will have something else to say, but yeah, we'll
Yeah.
see.
It's a it's a good one. I think they're his Southampton guys, right? His defenders, they've been playing well for him, so that
Yeah,
he'll look to those guys to carry on. And then if Kellen Winston can get some more points for him, which has been a good pickup. But on the other hand, like you said, you have these good forwards. And the guy that just needs to start producing, I think, for Lake Hawks is Havertz, Kai. Yeah,
yeah.
and then you'll be off. You'll take off.
Yeah, and we're gonna touch on him later on
Mhm.
in this video here, but don't worry, we're not sweeping that under the rug. I
No,
understand.
no.
We will address it.
Good.
So freaking hang tight, calm your tits. We'll get to it. But
For me,
other than that, what's your matchup this
right.
upcoming
I was gonna
weekend
say for me, um, I'm personally playing Stratford Royals, last year's league winner, who
here?
always builds a solid team, and but I'm excited for that matchup. But of course, that's top priority. But what I will be watching on the second monitor is Little Taco versus Team Squatty. I just think there's something brewing in this rivalry here, where you look at Team Scotty's team picture, and he got that from the first power rankings Little Taco ever did. Because yeah, so there's a little history there. There, Scotty's 5-9, Little Taco's 9-5. Man City versus United fans, and let's see who they currently have in their lineups here. Oh, Scotty's going Paul Pogba, Martial, Harry Kane. Harry Kane, fun fact, is one goal away from tying the record for most goals on Boxing Day. So maybe he'll do it.
Wow!
Yep, the record's 8.
Holy shit!
Can you guess who
Shit!
has it?
I would say Alan Shearer, maybe.
Yep, exactly.
Really?
Yep, he has
Oh,
8.
let's go, dude.
And
Nice.
so Kane is with 7. He's 1 away. So Scotty will be hoping he gets that along with a dub here. But Lil Taco has KDB and Jack Harrison, who's been good. James Madison just did a trade for Tammy Abraham, which I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know how I feel about that trade. Yeah, it's one of those. We'll see how that works out. But that's my
Yeah.
matchup. That's what I'm looking forward to for sure.
That's a good point. I like how you said that you'll have it on your other TV because I probably out of the other matchups here, yeah, I think that's probably the one I'll be keeping an eye on because especially due to like you said the trade for Tammy because Lampard is still trying. He's still balancing between Giroud and Tammy. Who's going to be the starting striker here and here out, and it's challenging this season with all the compressed schedule and all that.
Oh,
And then
right.
same
And
goes for Scotty with a guy like Pogba who started today in when as of the
right.
recording of this video in the the Carabao Cup. But is he going to start? And same with Lacazette. He's a guy that's been in and out of the Arsenal squad. So Scott is probably looking for to get one of these match weeks where he has his top guys all starting. And I don't
Yeah,
know if they've seen that yet. Yeah.
I don't think so either. And it's unfortunate that Ziyech got hurt for him as well. He was
Oh,
starting
it
he was
is.
starting to get momentum and start, but that's why you play the game. That's why you manage. That's why you sign the
That's why we're
contract.
managers.
That's
That's
why you
why
wear
we
the
get
suit.
paid.
Exactly.
Exactly. You know what? You're
So,
so wise.
uh, we want to take a break and thank our sponsor again here, Band
Yep.
Tracks, for um, letting us be so close when it comes to these tight deadlines with COVID and auto subs and things like that. So, little segue, Fantrax here, a key to us. And now we're going to talk about the keys of the season so far. I don't know,
Yeah. Yeah.
what has really, why are their teams scoring so many points and why is there that top race and the bottom race?
Sure. Well, I'll give a couple of my keys to the season so
Yeah.
far from what I've noticed, and then, obviously bounce it back with you, see what you have to say. But something I came across that really just slapped me in the face last match week, that really just, as someone that came in this season after having sit out a couple seasons, I wasn't fully, sure what to expect. There were some whispers around SK, in the dark corners of the bar, like, hey,
Oh no.
but I ignore those. This is how I roll. Last weekend, I got absolutely, whipped in the face with a leather belt with outside backs. And
Oh
Jared,
yeah.
because these Liverpool guys, man, Trent and Robertson last week, 25
I
plus
hear
points
you.
apiece. Are you kidding me?
I hear you,
Kidding me?
man.
I mean,
As
they're pinging
the
it balls left and right. Yeah, tell me,
uh,
what are your
as
thoughts on
the as the wise Matt Murray said, defenders score points. He offered me a defender trade for when I was moving Sterling, and at the time I was like, I am maybe, but he's showing it's true, wise beyond his age as well.
that?
So
Well,
definitely, I saw that they each. I'm pulling it up now. Trent had 21, Andrew had 28. So
yeah.
that's for sure.
It
They will
was a
get
wrap.
you.
It was a wrap. Yeah, it was a wrap. That he won the game on those two players.
Hmm. I
Um,
agree.
and
For
I think so too. Like we've seen Luca Dean unfortunately picked up an injury, whatever. Joao Cancelo, also Castagna, who Six Kingdoms, Mr. Murray is very familiar with. Great pickup, by the way. It was a gamble because he was new to the Prem this year, but he started
right.
out real hot with goals, assists, and then
Oh yeah.
unfortunately he picked up an injury, but he's back now. So potentially
Yeah.
another game
Wow.
changer in the mix here for the Six Kingdoms. So keep that in mind.
Wow. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. He started off really hot, and then
Right?
he came back the 20th. So 3 days ago, he played 60 minutes. So they were trying to test it out. So it looks like, and he did well again. So somebody to watch for sure. Those defenders, man, they pick up points. They definitely will help you win some close matchups, especially with the clean sheets. I agree. I think that's been very key for me. I think it's been these midfields. Whoever was able to stack up on these midfields. I mean, you look at Angelito, Jack Grealish, Mason Mount, sorry, Pulisic, right? Or you get KDB and Harrison, or Stretford Rose with Bruno Fernandez, and a good combo with Sergison and McGinn. So,
Sure.
personally, I think my team's been struggling because that midfield is so hit or miss. I feel the same way about Six Kingdoms team. I think his midfield's kind of weak. And then I feel like the teams that have that good, solid midfield players have been able to win more matchups. So I think that's been a key, picking up those key passes, assists, crosses, the set piece takers. Those are the gems. And I think as we grow with the league, we'll learn more where the value is, right? Because
Sure.
so for sure,
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to your point, yeah, there's certain talismanic midfielders that have certainly carried teams where, maybe, a striker's not getting the output that team that team requires that weekend. But if you got
Mhm.
a midfielder like, Bruno Fernandes
And
or
Fernandes,
KDB that just pops off that week, it overcompensates for the, slower striker or even those outside backs, those top point getters. They have a big
yeah,
match. it makes up for it. So to that point here, and I want to hear what you have to say about this because this is a hot debate. I'm seeing Phil Neville, Jamie Carragher, they're
Oh
all
boy.
bitching, whining, complaining, discussing about this. For
Uh-huh.
you, Italo, Kamish, if I may,
Of course.
who in your pantheon of current Premier League midfielders,
Of
who do you
course.
put above the other? And we'll talk about, I guess historically past couple of seasons within
Yeah.
fantasy, but this season specifically, KDB or Bruno? What are your thoughts on that?
Right, and that was right off the draft. Well, first of all, that's a great question. I think that's awesome debate. Both great players, Bruno French and Kevin De Bruyne, both stellar players. But even on draft day, the number one pick, right? There was some controversy. Who's going to go? KDB, Bruno. Bruno went first. KDB went second. Right? Is that right? No. Yeah. Right.
It was something like that. It
Either
was,
Kevin had first. Somebody had it there. All I know
yeah.
is that I think
Fact
it was
check.
Stretford.
No, fact
Stretford, I
check
think.
that when you get a sec.
Please,
All right,
yeah.
yeah, he'll get it. He'll get it. He'll get it.
All
Our
right. And so, in a fantasy standpoint, for me, Bruno is probably the MVP just because everything runs through that man at United, and if he's not playing, even like there was a matchup a couple of games ago. He didn't start. Stretford left him in. He came in the second half, and he still produced like he had started the whole game. So KDB still doing his thing, not as productive, not as explosive as last year. Last year for Angelito, he was just bananas like every game. But City they have some other weapons that they can use while I feel like Bruno does a lot for United. So for me, right now fantasy wise and probably like actual game wise with the way Bruno does it for United, I got to go Bruno.
Sure.
Brufinage.
Yeah, you know what?
Sorry, City. I love this game.
Yeah, you City United fans, you guys can take that on your own, and have your debates because we're not going to be able to settle it.
No, no way.
We try and
How
stay
about
neutral in that derby there. Yeah.
how about for you, McNutt? Who's your MVP right now? Who's your top leading MVP?
I mean, so of course, as we mentioned, KDB and Bruno, top talents. KDB for me personally, has underperformed this year due to, some are going to say lack of a striker, like not having Sergio Aguero around,
Yeah.
which that's fine. But at the same time, you can make the argument that Bruno has never had that top striker around, and he's still performing just as well. So
Right.
that's kind of where I have that issue. Though I am a Tony Martial fan,
Mm-hmm.
Bruno's still putting up those numbers despite not having a lethal striker. If anything, Martial, Jesus, probably roughly the same level right
Yeah,
now.
they need to pick it up. They need to help out for sure.
Right. So,
Help out
so
my team.
as far as that matchup right now with no Sergio Aguero, I put Bruno ahead of KDB at this
Yeah.
moment. See what happens when Sergio Aguero gets back. But then MVP race in general, I mean, Son Goku, Kane, Salah, Grealish, those guys have been huge. Those
Yeah.
are for me are the Mount Rushmore, I guess, of the league this year. For someone like Jack Grealish to be so influential on a
Insane.
team like Villa, and we knew what was coming from what we saw last season.
Yeah.
How much he
Correct.
drives it, most foul player in the Prem by far.
Mm-hmm.
Creates so many chances. He just drives the defenders. Fun as hell to watch.
Right.
And also shout to Son and Kane, who have now switched to a Mourinho ball where they're playing on the counter, which you haven't seen much. Kane dropping deep into mid, spraying balls out left and right.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to pick an MVP out of that group.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line is we've got some phenomenal players so far this year, but I'm going to say for my MVP of this half of the season, I'm going to go with Son because
wow,
the time he spent with the South Korean military to get in that shape, clearly it's been reflected onto the pitch. Mourinho loves it, and he's adapted to this counterattacking style of football so well. He's won Skywars from last year, but I'm going to pick Son as my MVP from this half of the season.
Wow. Okay. I like that. He's a superstar, hands down. The guy's a superstar. He showed it in the World Cup 2018. A great goal against Germany to send him packing, which I watched live, and I became a fan right there, even more. So I agree. I think Son has definitely gotten Dr. Marks some. I'm sorry, NBFC some good wins. Part of that lethal duo he has over there. So, but for me personally, like you mentioned it earlier, I got to go with Grealish for my MVP just because he was such a he should have been going in the first round if you think about it. Based on last year, kind of fell, and Hilito took him, and he's a guy that he's averaging here 23 points per game, the most in the league. And like you said, for what he does for Villa, yeah, you're gonna see him keep carrying. He's like that little bonus that Angelito gets. I feel like it's like I got Grealish. He's gonna give me at least 12 points, which is insane.
Well said. Well
So,
said. And Angelito, props to your scouting department. I hope those guys are getting a
mhm.
special Christmas bonus this year. And then also, I think back to Son, Josh. I know he spent a lot of time in Asia last year, so you have to think that he
Oh,
had some eyeballs on
you're
Son,
right.
his family. So I think there's
Wow.
a connection there. I'm just putting that.
Wow. I
So
didn't you connected the dots there. That's probably true. It makes sense. Let me look at his roster actually. Let me see if anything else, but that's a good point. Wow, makes sense. Makes total
yeah.
sense.
Well, I guess from there, that's a good discussion for sure. I think let's jump right into like our favorites and dark horses. We'll make
Yeah.
this pretty quick, and then we'll get into the good stuff that I think is more the clickbait type shit that I think you guys are probably waiting for, especially some
Yeah.
more trash
Let's get
talk.
to the hot takes. Let's
Yeah,
go.
let's get to the text. But first, favorites and dark horses.
Okay.
Kamish.
Okay.
I've got mine down. I mean, have you? What are your thoughts? Do you have something, or do you want me to go first? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, yeah. So my favorite, I think, my favorite to win the league. It's a young league still. It's a young year. Season wise, it's 14 games through. There's still, another bunch of games left. So I think I'm the favorite right now, personally speaking, just because I made a tremendous trade where unfortunately Lucas Digne got hurt. And then Richarlison today gets a concussion. I mean, the guy got knocked out. So now all I have left from the trade is N'Golo Kante, which pretty much counts as 3 players on the pitch. So I'll be all right for now. And that trade, I had to give up Sterling, who's getting hot now. But I think with that trade, if those guys can get healthy by next year, and I can get Saint Maximin back as well in the midfield, who I'm missing dearly, who's a great player for me, I think I can go on another run. And then if I have my full team, like everybody wishes they had their full team, I'm up there. I'm flying.
So just so we're clear, you are establishing yourself as we're not talking dark horse. You are saying you are an outright favorite to win the league.
Yes.
That's incredible. That is incredible. And you know what? Say what you will about this league and these managers, but there are some that have personality and self confidence that you won't see in the Prem.
True. I mean, you
Kevin
gotta.
here clearly believes in himself, his pickups, etc.
Why do you think Emery got canned? You know, where's your
Because he looks like a
personality?
vampire. He looks like a Guido vampire somehow. And somehow, where's he at right now? Is it Valencia? Or no, Sevilla? And they haven't lost in
Sevilla.
19 games.
I know.
Arsenal, dude, what a disaster. What a disaster.
You see where he's
But
at.
my
Oh
favorite,
no, Villarreal.
yeah, the Yellow Submarine.
There you go.
Yeah, my mistake there. But for my favorite right now, despite NBFC being top of the table, sitting pretty, looking down on us peasants, based on the pedigree of the players, the point output that he's had so far this year, week in week out, he's just shocking everyone. I think Little Taco Kev has a comment in the chat every weekend. Oh my God, Angelito, you're a god. I think that's a direct quote. So, and it doesn't go unnoticed. And so I think for that reason,
Winning
Angelito
fans.
now is my favorite at this point in the season.
Yes.
Chilwell, he did just pick up an injury, but I think he'll bounce back. Grealish, of course, in midfield. DCL, aka Dominic Calvert-Lewin,
Great pickup.
aka I don't know what else. He's just kind of a weird guy. He doesn't look like a footballer, really, but he's
Yeah,
bringing
right?
it this franchise,
Wow.
and Mo Salah, of course, too.
That's what I'm saying. The list goes on for the lad. I mean, yeah, you're right. If you're, if you look at the squad, you got to respect that the points for you got to respect that's clearly the favorite right now. He's just 3 points behind. He's right there. One more win, he's at the top. But if you're a betting man and you look at the stats and you look at the rosters, you will see that Sama boys are clearly favorite. But
hey, I respect it, bro. I
right.
respect it for sure.
Well, right there in the hunt, though, we do have Stretford. He's the defending champ. He has the Bruno effect, which, as a United fan, it's even more reason to cheer right for him. I believe in that team. I think he's definitely going to be a contender. Made the trade. He's made another trade where he picked up on Bisaka. So I like that, Dev. NBFC, of course, Josh in first place right now, and the trio up front, solid team. What do you think? What do you think about this little taco and Dr. Marks?
Well, Little Taco, the El Dorado taco mix with KDP. He's certainly in the mix. He needs a little more consistency with a guy like Mahrez, who I know Kev, I'm speaking to the manager directly into the camera.
Look at him.
You
Yep.
have issues with him sometimes. You don't like him. But he dropped you a 50 bomb just a couple of weeks ago. And that's the thing. And this, for me, has to do with Pep. This is on Pep.
Yeah.
Mahrez he's not starting week in, week out, and then he'll have a game where he drops 50 points, and it's like, wait, is he going to start next week? And you don't know. And I think, the way it affects us managers in fantasy, I would assume that there's a similar effect on the player, actually, IRL, in real life, for those of you.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, and also to finish that in the hunt, or you're in the hunt, guys. Derek, with Timo Werner, he's been banging in assists, but this past weekend he missed a couple great chances. If he can find that lethal blitzkrieg German form and start banging in goals instead of apples and SOTs, if he can turn those into goals, all of a sudden you got a true contender in Dr. March there. So definitely an exciting second half of the season to come. So yeah,
right. Yeah, that was a high pick for Derek, Dr. Marks, right? Kind of not too high, but it was a high pick. And I would hate to see Werner become another one of those Chelsea wasted forwards, right? That we know about.
Sure.
So hopefully he starts turning up. Now, do you think there's any dark horses out there, McNutt, that could have a chance?
Well,
out of that bottom 15 points, come out the winner of the league. Not, I'm not talking about playoffs. The cups. Sorry, not playoffs. Cups.
Sure.
I talk about the league.
Sure. Thank you for asking me, first of all, Kamish.
Of course.
Let me just make a plea for you may have heard of this team, Le Coq, right now. They are, for me, that's right. That's my team.
Wow.
So there are certain players, notably Kai Havertz, who he's still learning his way in the Prem. He looks like a kid that you're kind of like passing off on his first day of kindergarten. He's kind of unsure. He's looking around. He's kind of shy. Doesn't want to say hi to anybody.
Yeah.
And then it takes, maybe about halfway through the year, all of a sudden, he's having sleepovers. He's, running the show with like, dodgeball or something on
yeah.
And I think that I hope, though he was recently benched for most recent prep, but I think the way I've seen this guy play, he's a silky player, and I think once he can string a couple good performances together, that maybe we can start turning these performances into points. Also, keep in mind, I've made one or two gambles on Arsenal guys, which have not panned out. A lot of red cards. which sucks. But I think Arsenal this second half of the season, there's going to be a sense of desperation
Oh
because
yeah.
they get relegated. Otherwise, they're not going
Yeah.
to get a check. And nothing talks more than money. So once these guys, your Pepe's, your Lacazette, Saka's, who's a young guy, whatever, he's probably not as concerned. But they're going to look and see, hey, we got to start performing, or we're not getting paid, and we
Yeah.
look like idiots. And I've been unlucky with injuries with Van Dijk and Jimenez too, who are on my IR.
Right.
I recently dropped Van Dijk. I know there
That's
was
tough.
back and forth in the group chat with Van Dyke and Kevin,
Yeah.
drop Van Dyke. And yeah,
Yeah, he's
well,
gonna scoop him up, I feel like.
she was, yeah, you know what? Maybe I fell into this trap, but I did my, fucking research, and it allegedly it looks like an ACL and an MCL tear. So
Oh
we'll
no.
see.
It's a year thing, huh?
Yeah, and
Yeah. Oh,
lastly, and then I'll cut it off here. But my last dark horse here really would be Scotty. And this
wow.
is gonna sound a little bit out there, and maybe even
Last year's last
extraterrestrial.
place.
I know. Oh, was he really? Is that true?
I think it was last year's last place. Let me see.
Damn. Well, maybe I'm just a foolish lad here, but with Tony Martial, I think he dropped like 30 plus points last weekend with a couple apples. He scored today in the Carabao Cup. And
Huge.
Pogba, who we don't really know what's going on there, but Ole seems to keep playing him despite Stretford's demands that he sit on the bench and never play again, which we'll talk about later on. But
Right.
if those guys can start finding form, that French connection, Scott could easily rise up those rankings. So it's exciting stuff.
That's huge. I like those picks. One question for you. Are you gonna drop any Arsenal players? You currently have 5.
God, Jesus Christ, I
Are you
have
gonna
5.
write it out?
God, that is way too many. I'm gonna have to get back to the board and see what we have in the funds, and
Right.
definitely
Yeah.
get down and make some serious decisions on who has a future at this club. So I'll get back to you on that.
Okay,
Thank you
good.
for asking.
Um
Thanks for making a fool of me. I appreciate it.
well, I think there's some good teams here who definitely been hit by the injury bug that are hoping to squeeze out some wins until they get those guys back for sure.
Yeah,
But besides those injuries though, some of these guys have just been flops, right?
yeah,
Can
yeah.
we talk about that for a little bit? Like,
Let's definitely talk about some flops here.
okay.
I know I've got a couple that I want to call out that I'm almost disgusted by them because I know how much hype gets built around players, and you can see it really take a toll on a manager. It's happened to me.
Yeah,
Uh, and how about you?
of
You know,
course.
same
I mean,
idea.
I think beginning early on with Raheem Sterling, it took a toll on me, you know,
Yeah,
and that's why you saw me make the move. But now he's big enough for him. We'll see. Yeah, there's a couple guys there, especially in those transfer windows where you saw big money being thrown around, all these managers flexing the oil money, wherever they got it from. I don't know where they got it from.
who knows? Who knows?
And I can we talk about the biggest waiver wire pickup of the year? Who has played maybe a game?
You say it.
For a doctor, you think he would know better, but he paid so over 70%, I think, of his fab money. It was something
God,
crazy.
God dang
And
it.
picked up Tiago. So I think Tiago's got to be up there with one of the biggest flops, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, he is a silky smooth Vaseline type player. He's fun to watch. He's your point guard, for a
Yeah.
possession team. He's facilitating that offense. Problem is, he's making a lot of the time those hockey assists, so that first pass that then leads to an assist.
Right.
This is before, and we're talking about him when he's on the field. Why
Mhm.
he's flop list is because he hasn't been on the field basically at all this whole season, which is
2
why for me
games.
he's my top flop based on the price paid and the lack of effect that he's had.
Mhm.
Luckily, Dr. Marcus has had a successful season despite that. However, I
Right.
still need to have him as my top flop.
Wow. Yeah, he's definitely one of those guys that just hasn't panned out. I mean, even as I put in a bit as well, but I question how much can he really do coming from that German system where, now you're gonna go to this Liverpool system. I mean, Klopp, I guess maybe it would transition, but yeah, I a lot of money spent on him with not a lot of points in return. So the ROI is definitely in the red there for Dr. Marks, but he's a good manager. He'll figure it out.
Sure.
Maybe a trade. We'll see.
Sure.
Could we say that maybe Pogba has been a flop up there?
You know what? I mean, yeah, I think he has to be considered as a flop, and we're singing to the Stretford choir here. Maybe we're singing carols outside the Stretford residence for the smaller team. But Pogba for sure, because well, bottom line, his agent is a buffoon, tomfoolery.
Too
He's
much.
bamboozling us. He's just creating a hell of a ruckus when Paul really has not been performing, I would argue, since last year, towards tail end of the restart season. And he's
Right?
from the France squad in their friendlies and qualifiers and Nations League as well. And for the first half, at least 90% of this half of the Prem season so far, he's been in and out of the lineup. And when he's gotten in, has looked very unsure of himself, lacking confidence.
Mhm.
There's been blips of greatness, like his goal against West Ham, which we know that Pogba is capable of these moments, but
Of course,
week in, week
always.
out, why he's a nightmare for a coach as well as Manchester United fans and just color commentators talking about the lad.
Mhm.
He leaves so much room for poking in on issues that in the game, outside of the game, that then leave uh, no choice really for the person to
I
then classify him as someone that's been struggling and a problem child.
absolutely. I think that's a good point. And Pogba, the way he plays and the way he carries himself sometimes rubs people the wrong way. But that's what I like on a football player. I like personality. I like a guy who's going to be on the pitch and show that on the pitch too. And and that's why I feel like sometimes he gets the hate, but when he's out there, I think he's a good player, and he just needs that playing time. He needs to just play the full 90, give him the full 90. And I'm looking at his points here. He's been doing well the past two games that he did play. So we'll see for a turnaround. For me, the biggest flop so far, okay, has to be Aubameyang for me
Oh
because
wow! Oh wow! I thought you were about to freaking
no.
pin me down in the gulag and just for Havertz.
Oh,
Vomiting, yeah.
Aubameyang.
That didn't even hit me.
Right, Furry
Wow,
Murray. I'm thinking
great
Jonty.
call.
Matt Murray took him 6th overall, first round, right?
No shit.
He
Really?
passed on Raheem Sterling. He passed on Harry Kane. He passed on Aguero.
Wow.
Um, so for a guy you take that high up, you expect more. Looking at
Oh,
his points
nice.
right here, right now, he's plays the full 90, which is good. You want that, but 14 points last game, and then 2, 1.5, 3.5, 6, 6, 15, but then 6, 6. It's I think that's a flop for the year. I know he to me personally, he came in the club, took the number 14. Here we go. What are we gonna do? He has the build. He even has the technical, but it's just not. I'm not Arsenal in general. It's just not working out. I think that's what I don't think it might not be a Pia problem, but it's Arsenal problem. But regardless, Six Kingdoms, Matt Murray suffering. Okay.
Idlo Kamish. That is a great point. I mean, Aubameyang. For me, Arteta's been playing him on the left wing for most of the season, and then having kind of that center forward, whether it be Lacazette or Eddie Nketiah, kind of fluctuate,
Mhm.
and also that right wing, whether it's Willian or Pepe, he's been alternating those two spots all year. So maybe that has something to do with it. So maybe some of this
Okay.
does maybe fall back on Arteta. But I'm not. I'm also not absolving Aubameyang of any of these issues either, because he's also, keep in mind, wearing the captain's armband. And
Wow. Yeah.
as I am partial to Arsenal. A lot of my favorite players have played for Arsenal, but
Mhm.
when I've watched him play this year, I see him jogging around, much like myself, hungover on a Sunday afternoon in Italy, not really caring that much, and only caring when you have the ball, which really at a professional level is not acceptable. You don't,
Yeah, you gotta be. Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
I,
So
um,
good
I
call, good
think
call. I
I
like that
think
call.
it's, you know, for God damn it. Matt is on a Six Kingdom United is on a 4-game losing streak. He's looking to shake things up. He says a lot of his guys are well, he says he's looking to make a trade, shake things up. We'll see. Maybe he trades that first round pick while he can, while he's got some value, you know.
Hey, put your money where your mouth is, Matt. That's all I'm going to say, boss.
There you go.
Couple other flops here, and one of which I think is Little Taco, I believe, took a risk on, which is Gary Bell,
Oh
uh,
yeah, a
who
lot of
he came
money.
on loan to Madrid, who he did score today in the cup for Tottenham, but when
Okay.
he has came on for Tottenham in the league this year, I don't think he started much, if at all.
No.
Mourinho clearly doesn't see maybe the value in him. Maybe this romantic story of Gareth Bale coming back to Tottenham
Right.
is beautiful and all that, but Mourinho isn't exactly Shakespeare. Okay, Mourinho is a guy that does not give a fuck about that shit.
Right.
And he's the first one to tell you, I don't care, but he doesn't care. And Bale, as he's come back to Tottenham, you can see why maybe Zidane at Real Madrid kind of has not been favoring him. Why he's not
Mhm.
been part of the plans. Why he's not playing. He's not playing at Tottenham either. He just doesn't look
Right.
as effective. And I think, and I'll leave it at this. A lot of it has to do when he first was at Tottenham, went to Real. He was an electric, speed, quick player, and some of his best highlights for Madrid were based on speed. And a player that
Right.
then relies on speed and loses that speed and difference at a certain age, then becomes reliant upon that. And then when you come back to a league like the Prem, where you need
Right.
much more speed to be effective, all of a sudden you get the rug swept out from beneath you, and you find yourself riding pine in a much colder, harsher environment than you would have if he had stayed in Madrid. So I'm curious to your thoughts on that, Kamish.
Yeah, that's nah, I couldn't have said it better myself. He was a guy that Little Taco spent $45 on to get. I mean, it's it's a lot of money for another guy that hasn't done too much for you, which he's played a total of 4 games, hasn't played the full 90 in any of them. So we'll see how much. I mean, at this point, right, Little Taco is gonna have to keep him on the roster. You know, you can't drop him when you spend that much money on it. And I just think that, yeah, he walked out the back door in Madrid. He should have probably, you know, tried a little bit better there or anything. But whatever he was doing in Madrid, it's not working, and whatever he's doing in Tottenham is not working either. So I don't know. It's a name, you know. He chased a name,
He
Gareth
just,
Bale.
yeah,
Looked up the
and maybe
2013 highlights or whatever they were. Oh, look at him. He was still wearing number 3. I need this, and how could you, how could you not want that on your team? So, I don't
yeah,
blame him, but it's just you hate to see it. Same with Thiago for $70, you know?
yeah. And back to Bell. I hope that maybe if he does rediscover his form, I have a feeling, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that we're more likely to see him on the golf course at Delaware Park than we are scoring a lasso at Tom Stadium. Would you agree?
I would agree with that. Yep.
Okay.
I'd, maybe Bale gets a goal this year. I don't know. We'll see. It's not looking good. It's
Damn,
not looking
damn.
good. Sorry, Little
Uh,
Taco. I hope you start him
and
versus me every time then.
yeah, please, yeah, yeah. Likewise. And then one some I guess, self hate, and then we'll move on to like the major signings of the year. But one
Cool.
last bit I wanted to touch on, just admit because I know you guys are probably clamoring for it. You're probably, oh, I can't believe he hasn't. Listen, Kai Havertz obviously has not performed to the way that I thought he would. I did spend a pretty penny on him early on.
Right.
Uh, it, we touched on it earlier in this video, so if you're not satisfied with my response, scroll back and go rewatch because I provided a pretty comprehensive view
Yeah.
on that. Bottom line is, silky smooth player in Germany, still finding his feet in the Prem. No, it has not materialized just yet, and maybe it has to do with Frank Lampard. I would love to blame an English manager on any of my
Right.
problems. No problem. But maybe, I'm hoping that it'll translate into some real pointage second half of the year. So
Yeah.
I do acknowledge it has been viewed by many a flop so far this year. And let's move on to the major cops. Elo, take it
Let's do it.
away.
So major cops so far this year. We want to talk about some of these players that kind of came into the Prem or waiver wire pickups. Early on, I said James Rodriguez in my power rankings could have been a league winner. Is this a steal of the year, which I was challenged on, fairly enough, by King
Sure,
Odin. Um,
sure.
NBFC spent $56 on James, which right away produced him, which helped him get those close wins. But then he picked up a testicular injury, which
No way. No
yeah,
way.
didn't he
Really?
like injure his sack or something?
Oh my
I think
God.
I think
Man.
Ahmed like got hit in the nuts or something. Something happened with his balls, and
Oh
yeah
my God.
he couldn't play. And now ever since that, I don't know if he has less energy, less testosterone being produced. What's going on? Uh,
Jeez.
not as hot, not as hot. So, but that
Yeah.
was a good cop. I think for the rest of the year, that's a guy you can rely on. Everton's looking good. That offense is looking mint, as Stretford Rose put it once for me when I was trying to negotiate some trades. And with Richarlison going down now as well, they do still have some striking potential there. So I think if James can keep playing, he could still continue to be a huge asset for NBFC.
Sure. No, I totally agree with that, and for sure. It Another guy that I want to just point out that, well, two guys, and then I'll let you round it off.
Mhm.
You got, but Jack Grealish, we touched on him earlier on in the
Yeah,
video, has been
amazing.
an absolute firecracker really for Angelito's squad here. The guy's hair, the low socks and minimal shin guards, getting his first England call up all throughout this season. Clearly, it's not just Angelito that has noticed this guy; it's been the world,
Yeah.
um, and that just is really a testament to the seeing eyes he has with his scouts throughout the English lower leagues. And I know you've been watching him for years, Angelo. So congrats on that decision there.
Yeah.
But another guy
Props.
that kind of maybe follows that same mold, but maybe a year behind would be a Jack Harrison. So Leeds,
Oh,
Marcelo Bielsa. Yeah, I know it's kind of
yeah.
it is an outlier, but Jack has, first of all, spent some time on loan from Man City over in the States with, I think, New York City FC.
Wow.
By the way, formerly coach of, sorry, Frank Lampard played for them
Right.
briefly.
That's
And
true.
then I believe Pat Vieira, the old French and Arsenal man,
Legend.
was the manager there for a bit. But Jack has been a just perfect fit for Marcelo Bielsa's lead style of football, where it
Yeah.
is get the ball and then immediately missile forward like your banshees out of hell and just go to goal. And he has fit that mold perfectly, and I think that's why we're seeing so many points out of him week in week.
Yes.
He's been fun to watch. But
Definitely
what
leads.
about you? What about
Yeah.
you? I mean, who are your guys that took you by surprise so far?
Mhm. I think Leeds in general has taken the fantasy world by surprise and the Prem by surprise, right? A lot of those leads guys were taking late in the draft and are outperforming some of those earlier guys. I mean, you look at I'm looking at the draft history here. We had give me 1 second here. I'm sorry. I
I
just
mean,
had it
even
in
like,
front.
I mean, to that point though, that you while you look though, like a Patrick Bamford has scored what triple the amount of goals that Aubameyang has scored.
Right. So yeah,
He's
I see him here. Yep, exactly. No, exactly. So I took Bamford in the 11th round. Right before that was Calvin Phillips, another Leeds guy,
yeah,
right? And then I think if you're getting some value from these Leeds players because just the coaching and the way they play, like you said, it's offensive, and you've mentioned before they could get scored on, and they're not going to change. They're going to keep playing the
yeah,
way they play. So definitely, definitely, Leeds guys have been performing well. For me, I like the pick I had with Bamford late. But for me, I think one of the good cops, another good cop was
sure.
hold on, I lost my train of thought here, McNutt. Because I had too many tabs open and I can't
Hey
find what I
man,
had here.
we've all been victim of the too many tabs. Okay, you know what? It's just how it goes sometimes. But as we wait for Kamish to figure it out, guys, thoughts on this Christmas tree here?
Look at
Pretty
that.
nice. Also, this painting above my right shoulder here was done by my father. Uh,
Wow.
he made this for my birthday a couple years ago now. Hand painted it, so something I cherish. And also, you know, another good moment to thank our sponsors. Um, Number one bestseller from Jim Collins, Built to Last, Good to Great. This is a
Wow.
book on starting a business and going from a good business to then turning into a great business. So read this book, New York Times
Yeah.
bestseller.
Look at that. You turn a good team to a great team, maybe, by doing
Exactly,
that. Right. I
exactly.
yeah, for me, I think the another great cop has been probably I have to say Caleb Wilson has been good. Early on, he wasn't too hot, but with some injuries, he's been stepping up. And then recently, we had somebody pick up a player here that I like. Um, can we do a trade? Could a trade be a major cop? Because I think this trade for
Yeah,
Tammy Abraham was a pretty good
absolutely.
cop.
It's a great
Um,
discussion to have. I'd be happy to discuss that.
right. I mean, Basaka plays the full 90 every time. He can do well. I don't know much about Basuma. Do you?
On Brighton,
Yeah.
well, I think he got an early red card early on in the season. But other than
Okay.
that, he seems to be a pretty regular starter for them, and I think he is
All
a
right.
pretty dynamic, like box to box type midfielder. So probably one of those guys that you could count on for, you know, at least a
Okay.
baseline like 7, 8 points per week on a low end. So
Yeah, he's
yeah,
playing full
yeah,
90 here. I see it. So I
there you
think that's both teams. It could be a major cop for both teams. Stretford gets the depth, and Little Taco gets a striker who could potentially drop 20 points in a week. So could be a major cop for both teams here. We'll see how that plays out. I want to add though, I have one more flop that I forgot about, which is Willian. Okay, I
go.
don't
Oh
think the way he played last year compared to the way he's playing this year. Again, another Arsenal guy could be an Arsenal effect, but
yeah,
Stratford, North Buffalo took him in the fourth round, same round as Paul Pogba. So something about that round, I don't know.
bad round. And you know what? To that point, you know, with Willian too. I mean, as someone that has Pepe, I want to see Pepe starting over him. But
Right?
Willian
Yeah.
sure has been, you know, amongst the circles of Arsenal fans, they are fed up with Willian. A lot of them are angry of them. I've been watching a lot of different podcasts and shit.
Wow. I
So
wasn't
just
aware.
keep that in mind. And they signed that was Arteta's deal too. They signed him on a 3-year deal, paying him a lot of money. He has had one shot on net so far this season. Do you know how
Yeah,
crazy that is? That's freaking
that's pretty
bonkers.
nuts. I mean,
Okay, so
3-year deal for a 32-year-old Brazilian who was kind of known for this agility, speed. It's always some risk. I think the years Father Time is undefeated, so I think it's getting up there. But
Uh,
those are
closing
some key guys.
thoughts.
Those are some key guys that could help the teams win there. Um, Closing thoughts for me. It's uh, it's been a pleasure to be here, McNutt. Oh shit!
Yeah, well, you know,
It's been a pleasure to be here.
it,
Thank you for hosting. I think it's been a great year so far. A lot of ups and downs. Everybody still has a chance, which is good. And I just hope that everyone stays focused and understands that all you need to get is that sixth place and you're in the cup. And the cup, you get the trophy, you get the glory. You know, if you don't win the league, you get the glory in the cup, win the champ, you know. But you
wow.
also want to go for the double cup. And so I can't wait. I love this game.
Guys, you know, Kamish, thank you for that. And yeah, thank you guys for sticking around and enjoying this brief mid-season intermission here. It has been a pleasure. One thing I would ask, maybe a little bit more banter second half of the year. I need a little
Yeah.
more participation. I've been messing around in this chat on Fantrax. Like, I think I recently posted Inshallah. I'm not Muslim, but I just spice it up a little bit. So,
Yes.
just a little something more, guys.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. Please.
you know, maybe I'm just looking for drama, but it was an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to the rest of the year with all of you. All right, for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, let's hope for some good footy, and I hope everybody has a good Christmas, good holidays, and that you enjoy your Boxing Day, and that you continue to love this game as much as we do.
For
Anything
sure.
else?
No, that's it, man. Cheers, guys.
All right. Hey.
Amigo, wow, vintage hoodie for sale, $3,000. All right,
Yeah.
see you guys.